What is your current outlook on Amazon, and why hasn't Berkshire bought in?
Well, because I was too dumb to realize what was going to happen. Even though I admired Jeff, I've admired him for a long, long time and watched what he was doing, but I did not think that he could succeed on the scale he has, and I certainly didn't even think about the possibility of doing anything with Amazon Web Services or the cloud. So if you'd asked me the chances that while he was building up the retail operation, that he would also be doing something that was disrupting the tech industry, that would have been a very, very long shot for me. And I've really underestimated the brilliance of the execution. I mean, it's one thing to dream about doing this stuff online, but it takes a lot of ability. And you can read his 1997 annual report, and he laid out a roadmap, and he's done it in spades. And if you haven't seen his interview on Charlie Rose 3 or 4 months ago, charlierose.com, go to and listen to it, because you'll learn a lot. At least I did. So I just plain, it always looked expensive, and I really never thought that he would be where he is today. I thought he was really brilliant, but I did not think he would be where he is today when I looked at it 3, 5, 8, 12 years ago, whenever it may have been. Charlie, how did you miss it?
It was easy. What was done there was very difficult, and it was not at all obvious that it was all going to work as well as it did. I don't feel any regret about missing out on the achievements of Amazon, but other things were easier, and I think we screwed up a little.
No. We won't pursue that line.
Well, I meant Google.
Well, we missed a lot of things.
Yes.
We missed a lot of things.
And we'll keep doing it.
Yeah. And we'll have a
Luckily, we don't miss everything, Warren. That's our secret. We don't miss them all.
Okay, we better move on, I think.
This question is from Ken Scarbeck in Indianapolis. He says, with the full understanding that Warren had no input on the Amazon purchase and that relative to Berkshire, it's likely a small stake, the investment still caught me off guard. I'm wondering if I should begin to think differently about Berkshire looking out, say, 20 years. Might we be seeing a shift in investment philosophy away from value investing principles that the current management has practiced for 70 years? Amazon is a great company, yet it would seem its heady shares 10 years into a bull market appear to conflict with being fearful when others are greedy. Considering this and other recent investments like StoneCo, should we be preparing for a change in the price versus value decisions that built Berkshire?
Yeah, it's interesting that the term value investing came up, because I can assure you that both managers and one of them bought some Amazon stock in the last quarter, which will get reported in another week or 10 days. He is a value investor. The idea that value is somehow connected to book value or low price earnings ratios or anything, as Charlie has said, all investing is value investing. I mean, you're putting out some money now to get more later on, and you're making a calculation as to the probabilities of getting that money and when you'll get it and what interest rates will be in between, and all the same calculation goes into it, whether you're buying some bank at 70% of book value or you're buying Amazon at some very high multiple of reported earnings. Amazon, the people making the decision on Amazon are absolutely much value investors, as I was when I was looking around for all these things selling below working capital years ago. So that has not changed. The two people that, one of whom made the investment in Amazon, they are looking at many hundreds of securities, and they can look at more than I can because they're managing less money, and their universe, possible universe, is greater. But they are looking for things that they feel they understand what will be developed by that business between now and Judgment Day in cash. And it's not sales. Current sales can make some difference. Current profit margins can make some difference. Tangible assets, excess cash, excess debt, all of those things go into making a calculation as to whether they should buy A versus B versus C. And they are absolutely following value principles. They don't necessarily agree with each other or agree with me, but they are very smart. They are totally committed to Berkshire, and they're very good human beings on top of it. So I don't second guess them on anything. Charlie doesn't second guess me on. In 60 years, he's never second guessed me on an investment, and the considerations are identical when you buy Amazon versus some, say, bank stock that looks cheap statistically against book value or earnings or something of the sort. In the end, it all goes back to Aesop, who in 600 BC said, that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And when we buy Amazon, we try and figure out whether, or the fellow that bought it tries to figure out whether there's 3 or 4 or 5 in the bush, and how long it'll take to get to the bush, how certain he is that he's going to get to the bush, and then who else is going to come and try and take the bush away, and all of that sort of thing. And we do the same thing, and it really, despite a lot of equations you'll learn in business school, the basic equation is that of Aesop, and your success in investing depends on how well you were able to figure out how certain that bush is, how far away it is, and what the worst case is. Instead of two birds being there, only one being there, and the possibilities of 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 being there. And that will guide me, that will guide my successors in investment management at Berkshire, and I think they'll be right more often than they're wrong. Charlie?
Well, Warren and I are a little older than some people, and
Damn near everybody.
and we're not the most flexible, probably, in the whole world. And of course, if something as extreme as this internet development happens, and you don't catch it, why, other people are going to blow by you. And I don't mind not having caught Amazon early. The guy is kind of a miracle worker. It's very peculiar. I give myself a pass on that. But I feel like a horse's ass for not identifying Google better. I think Warren feels the same way.
Yeah.
We screwed up.
He's saying we blew it. And we did have some insights into that because we were using them at Geico, and we were seeing the results produced, and we saw that we were paying $10 a click or whatever it might have been for something that had a marginal cost to them of exactly zero, and we saw it was working for us. So
we can see in our own operations how well that Google advertising was working, and we just sat there sucking our thumbs.
Right.
So we're ashamed. We atone. We're trying to atone. Maybe Apple was atonement.
When he says sucking our thumbs, I'm just glad he didn't use some other example.
Berkshire is not going to out Bezos, Jeff Bezos.
That is for sure.
What did you mean by that? What were you talking about?
Well, I mean that there's certain people that you do not want to try and beat at their own game, and certainly Jeff Bezos would be number one. I mean, that they've taken fairly ordinary things. I mean, starting buying books and but Fred Smith took the airplane and the delivery truck and the postal service, but then he just put it together in a very imaginative way, with a central hub and all that, and came up with a whole new industry out of components that were known to everybody. And in a sense, Bezos has done the same thing. Now he's building big distribution centers and employing the latest technology. But the Kindle came out of there, and there's some products, but overwhelmingly, he's taken things that you and I were buying before, and he's figured out a way to make us happier buying those products, either by fast delivery or prices or whatever it may be. And that's remarkable when you think about it.
I mean, a lot of that comes down to just focusing on what the customer wants.
That's all he thinks about is he wants the customer to have a smile on their face. And now that's been true of other retailers. I mean, that is not something that R.H. Macy didn't think, or Marshall Field, or Bernard Gimble, or all these people. But he knew how to do it, in 1997 in a way that nobody else had come up with. And I'm sure his ideas even evolved as he was doing it. But he laid out his objectives in his first annual report. And you could just read them. I mean, his competitors could read them. And he has changed the world in a big way.
When you talk about his game, I mean, it's harder and harder to really identify what his game is. It's retailing, it's online retailing, but so much of Amazon's huge profits from the last go-around came from AWS, from the cloud.
And that's incredible because he developed that over a 6 or 7 year period, and everybody else sat and watched. And I mean, here was a guy that was a business genius, and he's coming out with something big, and the world, his competitors, to a large extent, just sort of ignored him. I mean, they gave him a lead time, which was very, very dramatic. I actually sat next to him at a birthday party for someone, and he told me how surprised he was that he didn't get more reaction quicker.
I was down to talk to my doctor about Rybelsus.
Ask your healthcare provider about Rybelsus today.
You mentioned Amazon as a game changer, and I have to ask you, you haven't bought the stock. You're an admirer of Jeff Bezos. A listing of the richest people in America came out. He's number one. I think your friend Bill Gates is number two. You're number three. So you can see what he's done in myriad ways. Yeah. And of course, the question is, how come you haven't bought Amazon? Is there still time to buy? Would you still buy it?
Oh, I always admired Jeff. I mean, I met him 20 years ago or so, and I thought he was something special, but I didn't realize you could go from books to what's happened there. No, I mean, he had a vision and executed in an incredible way, something that it would not have, but there's a lot of games I miss. I would have missed, I would have missed Microsoft even if I gotten to know Bill earlier or something. Those just aren't my games. I don't worry about the things that I miss that are outside my circle of competence of evaluating. I have missed things that were within my circle, and that's a terrible mistake. Those are my biggest mistakes. You haven't seen them. But I don't, it's not a mistake because I miss Netscape or something like that at all. I would say that maybe 5% of the companies or 10% of the companies at most are within an area of my circle of competence. There's something I should be able to understand.
Once in a while, you'll tell us something you're buying or selling. Anything else you're buying or selling these days?
Well, I wouldn't tell you. I will tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing you'll see in the 13F, which comes out in a couple of weeks, which may cause you to ask me that question in 2 weeks, but doesn't really, is not significant from my standpoint. One of the two other fellows in the office that manage money.
Todd and Ted?
Todd and Ted. One of them bought some Amazon, but so it'll show up on the 13F. It is not true to say that I am buying Amazon. It's true to say that Berkshire has bought whatever shows up there.
Although you've been a fan of Amazon and Jeff Bezos for a long time.
Yeah, I've been a fan, and I've been an idiot for not buying it. But I just want you to know that it's no personality change is taking place or anything. It's somebody else's.
Okay, so we'll keep that in mind when that comes out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We did just hear from the Federal Reserve this week, Jay Powell, the chairman, making some news on Wednesday when he said that he thinks inflation is transitory. Do you think inflation is transitory? I think the transitory was the word.
The lack of inflation?
Yeah, the lack of inflation, and that meaning that, look, the street took it to mean that he could raise rates, that might be the next move, when there were people thinking he might lower rates. What do you think?
So he was saying, in effect, that the abatement or the
right.
modest
that we're not going to say there's no inflation for forever.
Yeah, well, I agree with him. I don't know anything about what's going to happen when or what the Fed is going to do or anything else, but I think that I don't think our present conditions can exist in terms of fiscal and monetary policy and various other elements of the political landscape. I don't think they can coexist with really low inflation rates over time. But I've been wrong on that for some time, and I may be wrong for a long time in the future. I would say this: there's nobody better to run the Federal Reserve than, or be the chairman of it, than Jay Powell. I've had some experience with him in the past, and he would be my choice.
Just in terms of things you might be surprised by, I'm stunned that we're still looking at a 10-year with a 2.5% yield.
Well, that's what I can't reconcile a 5% budget deficit in a world of low unemployment, low interest rates, negative interest rates in many countries. No economics textbook I know that was written in the first couple thousand years discussed even the possibility that you could have this sort of a situation continue and have all the variables stay more or less the same. So I think it'll change. I don't know when, I don't know to what degree, I don't know what part of it will change, but I don't think this can be done without leading to other things. In economics, like other things, you can never do only one thing. Right. And we will look back this period and be surprised that we didn't see what was coming next.
Warren, I want to thank you for your time today. I know you have a lot of things that you have on your agenda, but thank you very much.
Well, thanks for coming.
Good to catch you.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll see you later this weekend.
Great.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Look at, with Amazon, he said, we needed the internet. Somebody else spent billions of dollars developing it, but it wouldn't have worked without the internet. He said we needed transportation. Somebody else had already built railroads and UPS and all of that sort of thing. And he said we needed payment systems.
You have
and
talked,
it's brilliant. I give him great credit for it.
You have talked extensively over the last several days, even the last several months, about how Jeff Bezos is the best business leader you think we have right now in the United States, about how Amazon is a brilliant company. And now you're talking about how it's one of 5 companies that take no capital to continue to build. How come you don't buy shares of Amazon?
Stupidity. I was impressed with Jeff early. I never thought he could pull off what he did. He's done it in 2 industries almost simultaneously that really don't have that much connection. I've never seen any person develop 2 really important industries at the same time and really be the operational guy in both. And he's done a good job with the Washington Post on the side, just not personally. But here you take cloud services. I mean, there was a Charlie Rose show on this that he did 3 or 4 months ago. He thought he would have 2 years of runway. He got 7 years. You do not want to give Jeff Bezos a 7-year head start
before the competitors jumped in
any
on cloud
economic race.
services.
So at the same time he's shaking up the whole retail world, he's also shaking up the IT world simultaneously, and I take my hat off to him.